Things are really getting out of hand in Kenya. Folks, things are not good. Now, there's an area which has been peaceful for many decades, and many of you who know Nairobi and the suburbs well will know it, where recent events have caused a lot of panic amongst Kenyans. Now, of course, I'm talking about the Kawangware area. Okay? Now, the worst hit area of the Kawangware is the area called 56. Now, there might be a bit of confusion here, so let me clear it up. Kawangware basically is two areas. There are two Kawangwares. There's what we call Kawangware 46, according to the Matatu routes, and Kawangware 56. Now, Kawangware 56 is a slum area that is directly neighbor to Plush, Leafy, Lavington. Okay? Kawangware 46 leads up from Gong Road to Naivasha Road. I think you can now see a map in front of your screens. Leads from Gong Road up to Dagoretti Corner, and then you go into Naivasha Road. Yeah, as you go up Naivasha Road, on your right, that would be Kawangware 46. Okay, Kawangware 56, you reach by coming up from Valley Arcade. Those who know the area, you go up along Gitanga Road. Okay, and now instead of going straight on to Gitanga Road till the end, you turn right. So the right side of Gitanga Road is Kawangware 56, and the left side is Kawangware 46. Okay, so that we've made that clear. Now the main problem is in the 56 area. The area, as you can see from your map, neighboring Lavington, James Gishuru Road, Convent Road, and so on and so forth. Now I'll come back to that point in a minute, why it is so significant, where this area of this trouble spot area is there. Now it's very interesting to note, there's one thing which is very clear. All the trouble, all the violence in Kenya so far has involved government provocation, and that is a fact. Now this is in sharp contrast to 2007, when troubles broke out, without any police intervention, without any police killing anybody. Yeah, what happened is that there were tribal tensions, tribe against tribe, and that's how the 2007 clashes broke out. Now, in sharp contrast, 2017, so far, all the troubles have been provoked by police. Now, let me just elaborate that so that we understand what I'm saying. In Nyanza, immediately after the August 8th elections, we had reports of police breaking into people's houses, beating up people, shooting people, etc., etc. The infamous case of Baby Pendo, she was one of the victims when police actually broke into a house. Madare, there was a kid who was shot playing in the balcony of her house. Okay, Stephanie Mora, yes. That again, the death was directly as a result of force used by the security forces. Yeah, obviously Stephanie Mora was not a demonstrator because she was playing outside the house. Yeah, again, the government was very deeply involved. Now, again, the recent problems in Nyanza have been caused by police. Again, immediately police go there, we hear of problems. When there's no police presence there, it is peaceful. Okay, that should be very clear up to now. Okay, because I want you to get a certain trend so that we all understand what is going on. Because it gets very confusing when you hear reports, people being blamed, oh, this person did that, or this person has a militia. It all gets confusing. Because we're in a country, we're in a propaganda country, yeah, a country that is operates and is governed by propaganda. Okay, so let's just get that very clear. Now, according to multiple eyewitnesses, this is how the problem in Kawangware 56 started. Okay, hundreds of people with dreadlocks arrived in Kawangware. Yeah. And what they did is that they started going about attacking people by shouting "no peace," and they started slashing people. Some people were shot, etc., etc. Now, according to eyewitnesses, police were looking on. That is according to eyewitnesses on the spot, multiple eyewitnesses. Now, if you ask local people, they'll tell you these are Mungiki people. Okay, that is exactly what people on the ground are saying. Not Kumekucha, people on the ground. Now, most of the press have arrived on the ground when already the situation has really escalated. And so what's the story they get? the story that comes out is that there are two warring groups. But actually what is happening is that there's the initial attackers, yeah, and then the youth in the area, the people in the area have armed themselves to defend themselves. That is exactly what the position is. Now, you might find this a bit ridiculous because you might say, if I was living there, I wouldn't do that. But bear in mind, these are simple people, okay? They have got nowhere else to go. Most of these people have been born and brought up in Kawangware, yeah? They're living on, believe it or not, ancestral land, yeah, which they've inherited from their parents, and so on and so forth, okay? And so they have nowhere to go. This is home for them, okay? So when they're attacked, they have got no other option but to defend themselves, okay? So they arm themselves with pangas, they arm themselves with what, and so on and so forth. Now, it is good that at least a section of the police who've been sent to the area to try and quell the situation have been able to recognize this, okay? So the group which is defending property has not been very successful because a lot of businesses have been set on fire, yeah, homes have been attacked by these Mungiki people. There are confirmed reports of rapes and so on and so forth. Now, in terms of communities, there are so many different communities living in the area, the majority being the Luya, the Luo, and the Kshs. Oh, and of course, the Kikuyu, okay? Now again, according to eyewitnesses, most of the deadly roadblocks which have been set up by gangs, yeah, have been asking people for their names. Yeah, you know, when they pass the roadblocks, maybe somebody's coming from work, or maybe somebody's trying to get somewhere. Immediately you're confronted by these youths, they ask you for your name. Yeah. Now most people have been very wary, so they give their first name, Isaac, for instance. Yeah. But then they insist they want to know your second name. Now, why would they want to know your second name? Well, you've guessed it, so that they can know what tribe you are. So the long and short of it is that it would appear from the evidence collected on the ground that the first group which attacked the area, which set off all these tensions, yeah, the objective was some sort of ethnic cleansing. Yes, to have outsiders outside the area. Now, this may be very tricky because a lot of the people who have settled in the area and bought land and even inherited land from their parents do not all belong to one community. Yeah, although the area is predominantly Kikuyu, there are a lot of other communities who live in the area called Kawangware. And this population of non-Kikuyus in the area, or non-locals, is extremely high because you have also got to consider that most of the locals have built houses, rental houses. These are just one-roomed houses, and they've rented them out. And they've rented them out to people from all over the country called Kenya. Now let's come back to the point I left off about Kawangware 56 neighboring a high-income estate. Yeah. Now, in my view, it is extremely dangerous and extremely worrying that this has flared up so close to a high-income area. Now, you'll remember in an earlier recording, I had mentioned the fact that a lot of the most upmarket places in Nairobi happen to neighbor slum areas, okay? And now this is one of those slum areas. And you remember also I had earlier said this is a deadly time bomb. You know, the fact that these slum areas neighbor high-income areas. Now, why do I say that? The divide in Kenya, or the gap between the rich and the poor, or between the haves and the have-nots, yeah, has increasingly widened over the years, okay? And there's a lot of bad feelings, yeah? There's a lot of bitterness, yes? When it comes to low-income areas, and especially when they look at people who are doing well, living right next to them. You go into a supermarket in Nairobi, and here is somebody who maybe works as a watchman or something. He has come into the supermarket to buy a packet of maize flour. You know, Kenyans love that for ugali. He has come into the supermarket to buy a packet of maize flour because he has seen it in the newspaper somewhere that they're selling at the cheapest. It's being sold at a cheaper price than his local duka near his home. Yeah, the difference could even be maybe 5 shillings or a mere 2 shillings. Yeah, and they've come to purchase maybe 2 or 3 bags of maize flour. Yeah, or packets rather, not bags. Now, as they line up at the counter, right next to them, in front of them, is somebody who has come to do some shopping. Yeah, they would usually have a card or an M-Pesa, yeah, and their trolley is full, brimming and flowing over, yeah, and as the amount is rung on the cash register, it comes to something like 23,000, 24,000, yeah. Now, this person who's lining up buying 3 or 4 bags of flour looks at that amount, and it's not even their salary for 6 months. If they worked for 6 months, they would not even have that kind of money. Or maybe to be more accurate, 4 or 5 months, okay? So here is somebody spending my salary for 4 months, pop, on a whim, yes? And here I am buying 1 or 2 packets of unga. You get my drift? So this has brought a lot of resentment. And when you have the kind of troubles that we have flaring up in Kawangware now, my biggest concern is that these troubles could very, very easily pour over into the estate peaceful, you know, law-abiding citizens next door, yeah? And that, my fellow Kenyans, would be a recipe for disaster. Now, I've had some unconfirmed reports that the people behind this whole mess, the people behind who have triggered all this violence, did this very deliberately, knowing the position of Kawangware 56, yeah? The intention being exactly what my worst fears are. Of course, these are unconfirmed reports, but I don't even want to think of the consequences of something like that ever happening. But as I make this recording, tensions, God just help Kenya. As I make this recording, tensions are still very high in Kawangware, extremely high. There's a lull, you know, there's a bit of peace, but the residents are very scared for their lives. And, you know, I can imagine, you know, you just imagine for a minute, yeah, you're this poverty-stricken Kenya, you live in Kenyan, you live in this one-roomed house somewhere in Kawangware, you're there with your wife, your family, and your kids, and this situation has erupted, you don't have any extra money in your pocket. In fact, maybe you've been struggling to put food on the table, okay? As you know, as I said earlier, Kenyans have not been in any meaningful commercial activity since August this year, okay? So times are very hard for people. So you don't have any money on you, yeah? So you cannot relocate your family, you know, just like that. And even, you know, if you relocated them, where would you go? You know, this is really terrible, yeah? So I can imagine what these families are going through. Now, of course, I'm keeping a very close eye on this for you, yeah? And I'll update you as I get new information and as we see how the situation here develops, okay? But what I can say, bottom line, this is not looking good at all, yeah? Until next time, this is Kumekucha.